I am Sudin Chaudhari, an orthopedic surgeon practicing in Kolkata. The importance of musculoskeletal health, this plays a very key role in keeping good mobility. The musculoskeletal system is part of the body involving the bones and the muscles, and this helps us to keep mobile, go from places to places. There are take part in recreational activities like sports, and also say recreational activities like music, dancing, and those who are interested in tourism, trekking, and adventure sports. These things are important in anyone's life, and that's how the musculoskeletal health comes into great importance. Now, physical activity in general, exercise and its the exercise tolerance in particular, this comes in a very big way to maintain our to prevent certain diseases. Also, diseases which are related to cardiovascular system, particularly heart disease, the ischemic heart disease, obesity, and its related conditions. The growing diabetic population in our country or the world over, in fact, there is a need to control the glycemic level. Exercise plays an important part, and obviously, musculoskeletal health is important in this particular way. There are certain painful musculoskeletal conditions which can undermine our ability to take part in sporting or other physical activities. These may be in the form of arthritis, like ankylosing spondylitis, and certainly a person with arthritis or ankylosing spondylitis or other musculoskeletal disease not take part in exercise related activities and obviously can be a victim of obesity and other mental and physical well being cannot be expected. So, in general, it results in a decrease in the quality of life. Now, impaired musculoskeletal health can lead to, say, depression, personal and social consequences in case of elderly people, particularly. So, there is a strong relationship between a painful musculoskeletal condition, lack of physical activity, and that results in functional decline, and there is a loss of independence. So there is more and more requirement to take help from someone for activities of daily living in the worst case scenario. That's how musculoskeletal health is also important. So there should be just a lack of regular physical activity emerges as the most prevalent risk factor associated with functional decline. Now, most importantly, impaired musculoskeletal health causing reduced physical capacity like grips strength. Over a period of years, there is a decline in the muscle mass, and that may be related to the age as such. So that's called sarcopenia. And similarly, there is a decrease in the bone strength, and that is what is called osteopenia and osteoporosis. And these are the terminologies which are commonly used to describe the decreasing, declining musculoskeletal health. This reflects on the person's physical ability, like, say, catching hold of a walking aid, or, say, getting up from his chair, or getting up from his bed, and that he cannot do without help from some other person, or it is becoming increasingly difficult. So, for him to get up from the bed, the way he used to, if he sits down on a floor, the way he used to do it 10 years ago, he is no more able to do it the same way now. So that is the age-related decline in musculoskeletal health, and that can be prevented in large way by maintaining a good activity level. Most importantly, The impact of impaired musculoskeletal health is now, that's how it is being recognized globally. And a good musculoskeletal health is definitely going to improve the quality of life in general of the population. In the occupational sector also, the person who is engaged in, say, productivity in factories, say, factory workers, and say, in occupations like the police and the nurses, very commonly we find a low back pain is of common occurrence. And very often you find that, well, a person who is working in a factory, he's working for 8 hours and spends another 4 hours in traveling. So he doesn't have time for exercise or recreational sports. And that's how the society has to look into this particular aspect, that whether this person can take up activities for improving his musculoskeletal health. Obviously, the first and foremost comes about the awareness of this person that he requires to maintain a good musculoskeletal health in order to retain the productivity and his usefulness to the society. It is commonly seen that high income countries they observe musculoskeletal conditions to be one of the major causes of work loss and early retirement on medical grounds, on physical issues, and obviously lost retirement wealth. While in developing countries, musculoskeletal conditions have a major impact on the livelihood. I will try to briefly describe that how we can say maintain. Now, uh, let us discuss about what is the burden of the disease related to musculoskeletal conditions. So, in the developed countries, they recognize that the low and middle income group countries they are also demonstrating the enormous future impact from musculoskeletal conditions such as osteoporosis and low backache, as well as say there is obesity is another risk factor. Increased use of motor vehicles for transport. That's also can reduce the overall ability of the person. Say in a workplace where a person rides a bicycle to reach his workplace from his residence, and a person who uses the local trains or motorized transport. So obviously, the physical ability declines for the person who uses motorized transport for every need. That is another way. Sedentary behavior amongst people, particularly of the younger age, the rapid growth of the legion of video games, the social media, the mobile streaming, and watching TV for long, prolonged periods. And this sedentary behavior can also be a cause for declining musculoskeletal health. Evidence shows that the effects of sedentary lifestyle can be reduced by a small amount of activity every day. Now, say 1 hour of moderate level activity can eliminate the increased risk of death associated with 8 hours of. So, those who are, say, front office workers in a counter, say, a railway booking clerk, or a person who is, say, the cashier in a bank, or desk worker in many of the offices. They have to sit down for prolonged period and cannot get out of the chair for long. So sedentary behavior is once again thus a major contributor to obesity, and there are several uh, epidemiological studies which have pointed out the association of obesity, musculoskeletal diseases. Exercises are important in the daily routine of almost every person at all ages. It should be tailor made to the person's age and physical ability. The exercises they usually elevate the heart rate and they are associated with a lower lifetime risk of cardiovascular diseases. So, apart from rendering musculoskeletal health benefits, improvement in cardiorespiratory fitness can be achieved by changing the sedentary behavior. Exercise is widely prescribed for rehabilitation from many of the non communicable diseases, accidents, and in the rehabilitation program for, say, many of these conditions. But exercises have a preventive role, and that can be the group exercise programs can be used to improve social interaction as well as a general awareness in the community regarding the use of exercises. And obviously, there are diseases which have been helped by the people exercising on regular intervals. Now, aging is inescapable. Everyone has to, say, grow older, and the physical ability is likely to decline, but it can be made easy and healthy with the use of exercises. And exercises are usually tailor made for the person's age and physical ability. There are certain other aspects of osteoporosis which I will like to mention about fragility fractures of the elderly. Very often we come across a diffuse musculoskeletal pain in, say, the middle aged population and also the elderly population. It usually happens this way that we try and investigate. The person is probably hypertensive and the person is probably obese as well. While investigating, we find that he has a very low level of vitamin D, and we give him or her some supplements, and that improves his or her musculoskeletal pain to a certain extent. But we forget to follow it up with the need for exercises, by apprising the person that you have to take some exposure to sunshine every day and do certain exercises to improve your muscle mass as well as maintain the vascularity of the muscle and the bone. And that's how the metabolism of the musculoskeletal system is being helped. This is usually a common occurrence. Another common occurrence is pathologic fracture, the fragility fractures of the elderly, which can commonly involve the vertebrae, the spine, and also there are fragility fractures of the hips, and that can result in significant morbidity, mortality, as well as loss of income and financial burden on the society. This also can be prevented by way of maintaining a good musculoskeletal health by way of exercises. There is a relationship between obesity and musculoskeletal health, I have already told you about. So, there is a surge in sedentary behavior. Everyone likes to have a white collar job, and unhealthy diets, inclination towards fast food, the restaurant food, and like that. That can also result in obesity, and this is closely related to osteoarthritis, diabetes. Obesity can also be associated with osteopenia, and it is commonly seen that, well, the bone health is not always good with obese people. Now, childhood obesity, once again, that can lead to musculoskeletal problems. The children who are growing up in an environment of sports and games in the schools, usually they are found to have a normal growth. The other things like flat feet, the knock knees, and also spinal problems are found to be accompanying growing children who have not been taking to sporting activities as a routine. So, sports and games should be considered essential in every child's growth, and that's how certain diseases of growing skeleton can be prevented. The diseases like flat feet, knock knees, and certain spinal problems, deformities. So, diet is inevitably an important part of healthy living, and dietary flavonoids from fruits and vegetables is also known to be positively connected with good bone health. The vitamin D, the dietary sources of vitamin D are mostly from fats and oils because it's a fat soluble vitamin, but dietary sources are usually inadequate. The more adequate source or richer source is possibly the exposure to sunshine. And that's how, for every person, including children, some part of the day should be used for the body to be exposed to sunshine. And during that time, they should be exercising. This is, in a nutshell, I could discuss today about the various aspects of musculoskeletal health and how it is important, how exercise can be used to prevent a decline in musculoskeletal well being, and how musculoskeletal well being can be useful in preventing certain non communicable diseases. So, the lesson to take home is to exercise. Take your daily routine, take some time out, taking some exercise every day, half an hour of exercise every day, 3 to 4 hours of exercise every week should be useful. Thank you.